This is the Fantasy Football Game Plan, where we talk about fantasy football and the NFL.
How's it going?
Hey, good. How are you? You got a different setting this week.
Oh yeah, I'm in Ontario.
And is it cold?
No, it's nice. It's actually super humid.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's great here too. I guess Canada's the place to be right now.
Yeah, it's good. Watching football yesterday was kind of weird because it starts so late, right?
Yeah,
So,
on the East
and,
Coast.
and then I didn't think about the double games. So I was kind of like, "What is a double game?" I was like, "This is awesome!" So I had two of my phones streaming, like two different games, and then yeah, it was good fun. It was good to see Minnesota get clobbered.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, I got clobbered in my fantasy league. I have Justin Jefferson on my team and a bunch of other superstars, and one of them managed to get double digits. One of them got double digits. Tom Brady was my best player, and he was horrible. Justin Jefferson, bad. Kelsey, bad. My running backs haven't scored this season. Joe Mixon, nothing. Javonte Williams, bagel. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's a good thing that all my players stunk in the same week, so I could just get that out of the way now.
Right.
If that continues, I'm in a lot of trouble. How did you do?
I snuck by once again. This time winning by 0.85 points. It was Dawson Knox on the sideline with getting his ankle looked at, and I'm like, I got this in the bag, and then because I was just waiting for Dawson Knox because that's who my partner had as a tight end, and he came back in the second and he caught a whole bunch of passes before halftime, and I put my head down and I'm shaking myself. I'm like, this doesn't look good. I have less than a point advantage going to halftime, and then he did nothing for the whole second half. So I was like, wow. And then when they had such a big lead, like 40-point lead, Buffalo, they were just giving it to James Cook and then Moss, and they were just running the ball out. So I was happy to see that. But I'm 2-0, but my points are. Like I said, doesn't matter how you win, just as long as you get the W. Because at the end of the day, the W is the most important thing.
Absolutely. You're 2-0 by a total of about 2 points, it sounds like. So that's pretty incredible.
Not even. Not even. It's shy of 2 points when it being 2-0.
Well, the guy I played scored more than double my points, so it wasn't even close. So if you're going to lose, I guess that's the way to lose. I'd hate to be the guys who lost to you by less than a point each. That stinks.
Well, yeah, I was explaining to someone who has nothing about fantasy. I'm like, usually you lose by like 14, 10, 8 points. You never lose by point of a point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't ever lose by fractions. And that's what I'm winning it by. And it's just like, who knows? I guess Patrick Mahomes not throwing any interceptions and then calling them back was on my favor. There was just some plays this week, that just were, I guess, on my side of the ball. It's good.
Nice. Okay, well, let's get on with it. We've got some players to talk about here today.
Yeah, a lot of injuries happened this weekend. So
yeah, and it's going to happen every year, right? Injuries always happen, so you just got to deal with it and move on. Also, players don't perform well, so I'm looking at quarterbacks because I've got Brady and he's got no O-line and nobody to throw to. So, I really like what Goff is doing with Detroit this year. I'm surprised that he's got 6 touchdown passes in 2 games. And the Lions look great, as you know. So I'm going to say right now that Jared Goff is a guy you might want to look at.
Yeah, he was on my list, as well as Joe Flacco. I think we talked prior to starting the season about how we kind of leave Jets players on the bench. Maybe this is time to also think about picking up a Jets player or a couple of them during your waiver wires. But Flacco seems to be doing well in New York and or Jersey. That's where they actually play. But, he is someone to also potentially put up there as well.
So you like the quarterback temporarily. Do you like him long term, or are they going to go to Wilson?
For now, if you're having struggles for a quarterback, I think either Golf or Flacco could do a great starting job for you and get you your 20 points that a quarterback needs to get you to win your week. But if your quarterback doesn't get you 24 points in a week, it's tough.
Yeah, take it from me. It is tough. Another, you were talking about injuries. So Trey Lance is out for the season with a big ankle injury. And then Jimmy G comes in and saves the day and throws one, runs one in, and all his teammates are happy to see him, and their season is saved because they weren't looking too good before, losing to the Bears.
Yeah, but I think I would pick Golf or Flacco over Jimmy G. I have Jimmy G on my list too to talk about this week because of the same situation. He has receivers that he could throw to. He's a seasoned guy. He can come in. I think the three people that we're talking about right now, if you're desperate for a quarterback, could plug and play with any system.
Yeah, I guess it depends on, like, my team. We have limited amounts of waiver picks every year. So, like, I've got Zach Wilson as my backup to Brady, and he's out until week 4. So long term, I like Goff or Jimmy G over Joe Flacco because I think Flacco will get replaced eventually. But if you have unlimited waivers, then I'd agree with you that Flacco's the better pick this week.
Yeah, so we have unlimited waivers. However, we do have fab money on it too. So you can place $0 bets all season long and change your bench as much as you want. But you're trying to build your bench in week 1 and 2, especially week 1 and 2 and 3, because you're trying to get those players that are looking to have potential to do well. And if you're saying that your quarterback doesn't have a good offensive line, maybe there's a different formula out there that in hindsight you see now that could better yourself. AKA Detroit now is sitting at a top 15 team in the NFL, as last week they were sitting at 28. So, it doesn't matter, right? Like there's going to be people moving across the board, but you need to get onto those early enough, or else you're just shit out of luck.
Right. And then you were talking about some other Jets players that you thought would be a good pickup.
Well, yeah, like 25% roster right now is this Garrett Wilson kid, a rookie coming out, and he's got 30 fantasy points in PPF this week. But not only that, they have Corey Davis, and right now, if I go to my fantasy app, it tells me that I should be trading for this Corey Davis guy too. But I'm thinking to myself, Wilson Garrett is getting more catches, getting more yards, getting those bigger plays. He's the guy that Flacco is throwing to, and I think he's the better choice.
I think it's the same conversation. Is it a long-term thing or a short-term thing? Because I don't know who Zach Wilson's going to want to throw to, because he likes to throw to Elijah Moore, the guy that you really like.
Mm-hmm.
So depends if you're week to week or if you're trying to build your roster, over the season. But all these guys are worth considering depending on your situation. And that's the thing in fantasy football. Like, everything is what's going on this week and how can I get a win? So take all that into account, but those are some good players from the Jets. And you got another guy you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm going to stay in the East since I'm right now podcasting from the East. One guy that you probably want to roster, if Goff is as hot as he is right now, and St. Brown's going to get a lot of attention by top corners, is Williams. #1 draft pick, college league, top receiver. He's doing cuts. He's going to be ready. So if you're building your roster, you're talking about the future, pick this guy up for $1. You'll love him by the time week 16 or week 12 comes around.
Okay, so not this week because he's currently not playing, right?
He's on IR. He's on IR.
Okay.
But if Goff is as hot and he's your quarterback that you're talking about, and you need to stream something, think about picking up this guy.
So what's the name of this young receiver in Detroit that's going to be a hot shot later in the season?
Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams. Okay. I'm making note of that for sure.
Yeah. Because you'll be
Okay.
cheap. You'll be cheap now. And
Yeah.
then on him on if you got people not doing anything like Sky Moore on your bench, because some prediction said that he's going to be the pickup guy. You know, then might as well have this guy on your bench.
Yeah. Also, uh, a name from the past who's come up again, Sterling Sheppard. He's emerging as the Giants' top guy, surprisingly.
Yeah. Well, a veteran guy catching some get good balls. That's awesome. It's
Yeah.
good to Sterling do well.
105 yards and a touchdown. Got targeted 14 times. So that's not a fluke. Another receiver I have, Josh Palmer from the Chargers. Caught a touchdown last week, saved his week. But the thing is, it's a good offense. And even when Keenan Allen is healthy, he's going to be the third receiver on that team. So pick him up, good receiver on a good offense. If you're hurting at receiver, there's a guy to look at.
Yeah, great flex player.
Okay, and I've got a couple other receivers. You got any more?
No one worth talking about.
Okay, so I'm just looking at Dallas, and Noah Brown got 14 targets, 159 yards, and a touchdown. Cooper Rush seems to love him. I think if you're talking week to week, then this week he's a good pickup. I believe they have the Giants this week, which is not a great defense. So take a look at him, and then just keep your eye on Gallup. Michael Gallup might be back in their lineup, and Dallas is desperate to find guys to throw to right now.
Just trying to find the proper arm to throw to from.
Yeah.
More like it.
Yeah. So, I mean, running backs are just so tough right now to find.
Yeah, you had to pick them up in draft day. Like if you weren't, I know when I was looking at fantasy, actually when I was drafting, the video that popped up 2 minutes before my draft started was like, gone are the days when you pick up your running backs in the first 2 rounds, blah, blah, blah. With your position, you'll be picking up this wide receiver, whoever out there. And I'm just like, okay, great. Like, yeah, I'm going to ignore. But then now I'm going through my who's available running back. And like you're saying, it's so slim. Like, other than Mozart from Miami, if he didn't get picked up last week, that's the guy you should be hunting for.
Yeah, I agree. He was the top guy on my list too. He's getting all the goal line work. He got 11 rushes for 51 yards, and he got targeted 3 times for 28. So if you give him a touchdown on the goal line next time, instead of them scoring from the 50 all the time, if they get down into the red zone, they're going to give him the ball. So that looks really promising for him. Some leagues he'll be gone already, but take a look in your league to see if you can find him. He's a good find. And another guy that I think could be of some value is J.D. McKissic for Washington, because they've got their rookie running back coming back from injury, right? The guy that got shot, Brian Robinson, I believe his name is. He's not playing right now. They've got Antonio Gibson in there. We know the coach does not like Gibson. And McKissic, they paid him a lot of money in the offseason. And I think that Robinson will replace Antonio Gibson, but McKissic will consistently play his role of being the pass catching back in that offense. And I think they're going to be losing a lot of games, and Carson Wentz is throwing the heck out of the ball.
Yeah, that's a good call.
So
speaking about injuries too, in the running back position, the big one out of Arizona with James Conner, who was getting like an average of 2 touchdowns a game last year, he goes down this week, and like by committee, they have another Williams from Kansas City running the rock, as well as Eno Benjamin. Now I don't know; they're splitting carries for the remainder of the game, which one they're going to go with. But we knew that last year, speaking on our podcast, that Eno Benjamin is a breakout player, but Derek Williams has also carried Kansas City when whatever the guy's name is, Shusha WC, whatever.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire couldn't pick up the slack. So I don't know. It's kind of like 50-50. Like if you lost Connor, maybe pick up these people. But there's like we talked about at the top of running backs.
Yeah.
They're very slim to pick. So the ones that we're speaking of right now is just on opportunity. So who's ever going to come out next week might be, it's a gamble.
Yeah, and to add to that mess, there is some talk that Connor's injury is not that bad, and they just didn't want to make it worse, so they sat him down because they had a good situation happening, and they felt like they just didn't want to hurt him anymore, and so he might play. Also, we don't know yet, so that's a situation to keep your eye on.
Do you believe sometimes it's just press?
Yeah, and that's part of the gamesmanship of it all, right? I mean, who
because
knows?
because lots of times like people are like, oh, he's not playing, he has a hamstring, right? And then Sunday comes in and the guy runs for 300 yards and his hamstring is just fine.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
just giving the rep breaks. But when you injure yourself in a game, I think it's a little bit different. So let's see what
yeah,
happens.
yeah, yeah.
But
Keep
it
it up.
is a press game, so don't always listen to the press.
Okay. Okay. Good point. So I like a couple of tight ends. They're not superstar guys, but right now it's really slim pickings out there for tight ends. Again, we knew that would happen. It always happens. You had a guy like Dalton Schultz going down for Dallas. He'll be out for a while. So I noticed that Evan Ingram is getting targeted a lot in Jacksonville. He's caught 11 of 12 targets this season. He didn't get a lot of yards. He only got 46 yards, but they are throwing to him. So just something to look at.
I said it last week. Logan Thomas from Washington
Yeah.
caught a touchdown this week. Also, one of Wentz's favorite targets in the red zones. So if he's not picked up, he will be picked up by the end of the year. And like I preluded, this is the time when you build your bench. If you don't pick up these hot players now, you got to trade for them or whatever, or they're just gone. Right?
Yeah, good job by you. You made that call last week, and if people listened to you, they had a touchdown from their tight end this week. So way to go. I just wanted to throw in Hayden Hurst from Cincinnati. He's playing well. He shouldn't be getting as many balls as he is. He got 5 of 7 catches last week. Cincinnati's offensive line is horrible. I mean, they should spend some money in the offseason and go and find some guys that can play offensive line. Oh, yeah, they did that, supposedly. They are just brutal. I feel so bad for Joe Burrow. He is going to get killed.
It's been like that since they drafted Burrow. They haven't protected him up front. They spent money on the wide receiver last year. They got him to the Super Bowl only to lose.
Yeah.
You need to build your front, and the only way you do that is you get the high draft picks in there. And so it's brutal because last year Joe Burrow's got sacked like 60 times, and he's already on that same production right now.
Yeah.
So
he's
and you're saying Mixon is not getting any running, and this is why I've always hated Mixon. I'm not saying never met the guy personally. I just don't like him as a fantasy player because their offensive line isn't built yet for him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Denver's driving me crazy too. They've got great running backs and they won't line up in the eye and just run the ball when they're inside the 5. They just won't do it. They're going to go shotgun. They're going to throw the ball to the same player over and over again who's covered. They're just going to do everything wrong on purpose. I don't know why, but it's so frustrating to watch.
It's all that thin air.
Must be. It must be. All right. Now, we said that although we don't like paying attention to kickers, that we would do it because it is part of fantasy football. So I do have one kicker that I think is a decent guy that probably people can get him. Graham Gano has been around for a long time, consistent. The Giants are not bad, but they're not going to score all the time. But they do seem to be able to move the ball. So they've got Dallas this week, and I would say Graham Gano is a pickup for a kicker.
I have 2 kickers on my list.
Okay.
Because both similar to New York Giants can get there but can't close it.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Steelers, Boswell,
Yep.
right? Because Mitch Trubisky isn't the most reliable person. And we've talked about this guy for the last 3 years, not so much last year, but 2 years ago from Houston, Fairbairn. Fairbairn.
Kaimi Fairbairn.
Yeah,
All right. Who's he playing for these days?
Houston. Still,
Okay.
he's also someone to keep an eye on. Now, like, we don't have to say kickers are just, you could stream them, pick them up. They should do all right for you. But if there's a defense out there that you may want to think about what's going on in the next 2 weeks, maybe Atlanta is something you should think about, because they've got Seattle and the Browns coming up, and they're right now pretty high ranked in the league. So Atlanta Falcons, if you need a defense for 2 weeks or something like that, you're not just happy with whoever you picked. Something to consider. They do play Tampa Bay though the following week, week 6 or something like that. So you may want to drop them and pick somebody else up, but maybe Atlanta's worth having a look at.
Tampa's not scoring. They have no O-line and no receivers. So that's, I think, is a really good suggestion on your part to look at Atlanta. And I'm going to throw one out there. I don't think Kansas City is known for its defense, but they did take a pick all the way from their own end zone to the Chargers end zone. And they have got Indy this week, and Indy is horrible. They got shut out, and they have nothing. No receivers. They got a good running back. I don't know what's going on with their O-line, but all you have to do is load the box and stop the run, and they will give you nothing. So Kansas City defense.
Yeah, one dimension football team. When they got rid of all the wide receivers, and Pittman was going out high in the ranking. Oh, year 2 sophomore guy.
He's injured. He's not playing.
I know, but like it was better getting Evans at that high pick sitting on your bench because he's suspended than somebody who was on. We don't know yet. Maybe Pittman in year 3 will be a better guy when he comes back from injury. So.
Yeah, if he can get on the field, he's supposed to be good. But they have absolutely nothing else.
T.Y. Hilton still play football?
Not professionally. I think on weekends there's a flag team.
That guy from Indianapolis was the workhorse.
Yeah.
Didn't matter how old he was. He was like, one leg and like a crutch, and he was still catching 80-yard bombs and getting you 13 points a week.
It's a short career. You gotta get paid while you're able to play, because guys don't last very long in this league, and he was a great one for sure.
Okay, so what's your takeaway this week? Who would you pick up? Who would you if you need to juggle your bench in any position? Who do you think your person would be?
Yeah, I mean the top guy I would go after would be I think Garrett Wilson from the Jets is probably a guy who could help you now, but really will help you later. So whether it's temporary or long term, I think of the guys that we talked about, he kind of looked like a superstar last weekend.
Yeah.
The Jets wide receiver.
Yeah. And I would say Jamison Wilson to have on your bench when he comes back.
Jameson Williams, Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
Have on your bench. Let him do his work when he gets back out of injury.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, good luck next week. Please wish me luck. I am gonna need it.
Yeah. Good luck. It's tough. It's always tough. It's always stressful.
All right, man. Well, have a good one, and we'll talk to you. You back in BC next week?
No, I'm out here for next month. So
okay.
I'll be podcasting from this basement.
Okay, well, it looks good. I like the graphic thing you got going on, but you will need a warm coat by the time you're done.
Yeah, I packed one. Okay, take care, man.
Okay, Scott, thanks. Bye. Thanks for watching the Fantasy Football Game Plan podcast. Need coaching on your lineup? Drop us a line, and we'll discuss your dilemma.